Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Katerina Tsamouri. I'm diplomatic correspondent and anchor. I will do the moderation of today's discussion, and I'm very glad to do so. Allow me to introduce you our distinguished guest, Minister Stavros Papastavrou. Welcome, sir, Minister of Environment and Energy of the Hellenic Republic. Mr. Zhecho Stankov, Minister of Energy of the Republic of Bulgaria. Welcome to Athens, welcome to Delphi Forum. He drove all the way from Sofia to be here with us today. Yes, he deserves that applause. And via Zoom, as you can see, Mr. George Papanastasiou, Minister of Energy, Commerce and Industry of the Republic of Cyprus. Can you hear us?
George, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you very well, and I'm sorry I couldn't drive from Cyprus.
So we only have 20 minutes, so I'll drive to the questions directly. Allow me to begin by addressing the same opening question to all of you. How does your countries envision each strategic role, the one of them, in regarding the energy challenging in the Eastern Mediterranean region, especially now during this unstable, unpredictable geopolitical landscape? Minister Papastavrou, let's start with you.
Thank you. First of all, I'm very happy to be here with two very good friends, Zhecho and George. We are cooperating already on a European level, and I think we have a common agenda. This is a period of tremendous turmoil. We have historic adversaries or even enemies coming close, and allies to recalibrate their relations. 2 weeks ago, there was a meeting between the representatives of China, South Korea, and Japan. If someone were to think about such a meeting 1 month ago, they would think it's a fake news, but it happens. So there's a tremendous change in the world. And when this happens, I always remember a Jeff Bezos comment where he says, everyone is asking me about which are the things that they are changing. And nobody's asking me which are the things that they don't change. And the things that they don't change for Greece is that Greece is a rich country on resource endowments and Greece's geographical position. And these two are the parameters that create the opportunity for Greece to be a force of stability in the Eastern Mediterranean, a region that used to be a theater in the Cold War between the two superpowers, but now develops its own distinct geopolitical identity, and Greece gradually becomes an exporter of energy security, and that's very important. So for me, Greece's role is to be a force of stability, energy security exporter, and to create, through energy, with the cooperation of Bulgaria, Cyprus, Israel, and other neighboring countries, a framework of cooperation in the coming years.
Thank you, sir. Minister Stankov, Minister Papastavrou mentioned that Greece is energy security exporter, and you help us to do so. The FSRU in Alexandroupolis is one of the aspects of our cooperation. How do you see our cooperation?
First, allow me to say also big thanks to the opportunity to participate today. It doesn't matter how many hours is needed to travel to here. I'm gonna do it. Of course, first of all, thank you to Mr. Stavros and George for the opportunity also to participate in this panel. And to say that when we stay alone, we cannot achieve the results. That's why we are united. And when we are speaking about the energy security, here the interconnectivity we increased during the years with our neighbors like Greece, Romania, is very important. Why? On the first stage, as Mr. Papastavrou mentioned, Greece is exporting the security of supply of your region to the Balkans. From our side, Bulgaria, with the connectivity, is helping also with security of supply, with our connectivity with neighbor countries, with balancing, let's say, capacity we have in the pump storage hydropower plants. And when we start, let's say, our future plans, we should concentrate in a few things, in a few big things, like it was the LNG terminal. We received also for this year the first deliveries from LNG, which were delivered to Alexandroupolis from our colleagues from US, the LNG from our partners from United States of America, Venture Global. These quantities achieved Bulgarian territory to one of the projects which is high level of European diplomacy, the Greece-Bulgarian interconnector, which is owned by on the territory of 2 member states and owned by the let's say companies from 3 member states. And now we should think for increasing the capacity in the gas sector with vertical gas corridor, which I hope that we will have the opportunity together with my colleagues to be in Bulgaria for the let's say real construction of the project at least in 30 days. The pipelines already arrived in Bulgaria. The second project, we should concentrate in the sector of electricity, rising the electricity interconnectivity in the region, having the opportunity. Greece, Bulgaria, Cyprus are having much more sunny hours than our colleagues from the Mid and East Europe, and that will give us the opportunity really to export this energy from our territories, to be responsible for security of energy supply, not only for the Balkans, but for the central part of Europe. And last but not least, new technologies. I think Balkans' future is to become the hydrogen hub for the future, because you know that the green gases are very important for achieving our European targets. That's why together we are strong. We put the important topics on the let's say in front of us, and I am sure that together we're going to achieve this.
Thank you. Mr. Papanastasiou, the floor is yours.
Yes, good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure attending this panel, and I'm sorry that my apologies that I couldn't be having physical presence at the event, which is due to my absence in the US, and of course due to the yesterday's strike. Yes, the messages that I hear from the ministers Papastavrou and Stankov, definitely they provide the insights of what the 3 countries they can provide as an energy supply in the Eastern Mediterranean. In extreme turmoil times, and it's not only what the wars that we see between Israel and Hamas, and what we see a little bit more north between Russia and Ukraine, the turmoil is even higher these days, with many statements that we see coming from the West. And you understand that the Eastern Mediterranean started attracting quite some attention, and Europe as well, having a little bit of more introversion than in the last decades, and rightly so. They are looking for independency, they are looking for autonomy, they are looking for energy affordability, and certainly the competitiveness of the industry of the European Union is very important and is very much directly related to the energy cost. The Eastern Mediterranean now, with the collaboration between the countries, and it's not only Bulgaria, Greece, Cyprus, it's also Egypt, it's Israel. May I remind everybody about the Eastern Mediterranean Gas Forum as well, and the recent developments that we have in Cyprus as well for new discoveries of natural gas, and the agreements that we have with Egypt. You understand that this could be a new source of supply from within the European Union, simply because the exclusive economic zone of Cyprus is part of the European Union. And of course, Greece is also in a development program. We recently heard the good news about the company interested about potential exploration in the south of Crete. And we also have, we're engaging as countries in projects which will transport the energy from where it is produced to where it is consumed. And the last years, we see an Eastern Mediterranean being a potential of supplying the north of Europe, simply because the Eastern Mediterranean is good in solar power, it is good in wind power. Greece has a backup in the dynamic. The rest of the countries, they have also some very good solar dynamic. And through interconnections, which I heard from Minister Stankov, you understand that we can transport this production to where it is consumed more north in the European. I will make a stop here in order to take the next question. I have a few more things to mention, but I will allow more time for my colleagues there in order to say a few more things. I will continue.
So, Minister Papanastasiou mentioned the interest coming from Chevron,
True.
Which is huge news. Allow me to say that maybe me and my colleagues had not highlighted enough. Because Chevron has expressed growing interest in the Eastern Mediterranean, both for the Greek and the Cyprus economic zone. What is the current status of Greece's cooperation with Chevron, and how this align with national energy priorities? I'll start with Minister Papastavrou. When will the international tender be announced?
You're right. This is a significant, a huge vote of confidence for the country. But this is an expression of interest. And that means that we need to do our homework in a professional manner, in an expedient manner, so we can end the internal process before the end of the year.
Okay.
I think the first ministerial decision was signed last Friday. The next one will be signed tomorrow. And by the end of April, I think we will publish in the European Commission Gazette the tender, with the aim by August to have the completion of the tender, and then before the end of the year to go to the Hellenic Parliament and authorize and approve the awarded party. This is a huge vote of confidence. This is a significant change because of the geopolitical dimension that you implied. Chevron and ExxonMobil, they are very active now in the Eastern Mediterranean. You mentioned Israel and Cyprus. They are also looking into other neighboring countries. I think the meeting that took place on the 17th to the 18th of March in the White House with the 4 CEOs of these companies and President Trump's announcement that he's encouraging them to look into opportunities around the world, so that the US government is, through the private companies' action, actively involved in our region, and that this is extremely positive news.
It's very important. So maybe that means that in event of a Turkish reaction, for instance, can we expect from Chevron their support?
I think the Chevron is a private company, as I said, but it's important to highlight that the areas that affect southern of Crete have nothing to do with the illegitimate claims that Turkey does. So this has to do on the middle line between Crete and Libya.
That's true.
So there's no direct basis for Turkey to react, because it has nothing to do with anything else than sovereign rights of Greece in accordance to the maritime law.
Plus, I suppose that Chevron have already done its homework, right?
I think for Chevron to announce its interest, they have done, as you said, their geological and geopolitical calculation. And there's a company, this is the second largest private company in the US in hydrocarbons. So they are moving very calculated and on an informed basis.
Thank you, sir. Minister Stankov, do you have a comment on that?
I always think that the cheapest and securest gas is our own gas, the European one. Of course, for this we're gonna need time. Bulgaria gonna sign just in about 5 days with Shell for the deep sea exploration in the Black Sea. But here it's important also to raise the topic with the LNG terminals. Mm-hmm. Exploration time and the real extraction of natural gas from our territory is gonna take time. That's why at the moment it's very important on the long-term basis to utilize the LNG terminals in the region. The cooperation which is between Greece, Bulgaria, Cyprus and all countries in the region is very important. Just the LNG terminal Alexandroupolis, for example, has 5.5 BCM capacity. Here I'm going to also use the opportunity to welcome our colleagues from the ICGB company, the Greece-Bulgaria interconnector, to do everything what is necessary to rise the capacity of the interconnector from 3.3 BCM to 5 BCM, which is going to increase let's say, the security of supply in the region, and will give opportunities to many companies to underwrite the long-term contracts with our partners from US, where we know that the LNG at the moment is on very competitive prices, even related with the pipeline gas. That's why I think investments in this relation is very important, but we also have to think for now what we have to do and how to utilize on maximum the existing and to rise the capacity of this existing infrastructure.
Thank you. Minister Papanastasiou, can I have your comment on Chevron's interest?
Yes, as I explained to you, I was on a trip with our president, Christodoulidis, in the US. And of course, we met Houston with the two companies that they were previously mentioned at a very high level. And whilst we are focusing as Europeans to renewables, you understand that natural gas is attracting a lot of attention, especially from the US, simply because it's a bridge product towards a greener environment. The message that we receive from both the US companies is indeed, like Minister Papastavrou mentioned, is that they have an active interest in the Eastern Mediterranean. Having mentioned the name of Chevron, we met at the highest level with the CEO of the company, and we discussed the Eastern Mediterranean specifically. And Chevron is the one company that is operational, is active in Israel, in Egypt, in Cyprus, and potentially in Greece. So you understand, it is good to have state agreements and government-to-government conversations. The 3+1, which is Israel, Greece, Cyprus, and the US. But the real business is done in a B2B environment, business to business. And that was important, the conversation we had in the US. It was indeed very important to hear from the horse's mouth, meaning the companies themselves, that they are indeed interested in our region. Here I will mention that both these companies, they have 2 blocks, ExxonMobil 2 blocks and Chevron 1 block in the exclusive economic zone of Cyprus. The recent signing of a post-government agreement with Egypt, it's a collaboration between 2 Eastern Mediterranean countries, one having the natural gas, the other one having the infrastructure. And in this collaboration, the intention is to get the product to onshore in Egypt, and from there to liquefaction, exported to the international markets. And the one market which very interested is, of course, the European market, and the Revithousa terminal is a potential target for this liquefaction simply because it connects to the grid in the Balkans that can provide energy, liquefied natural gas to the countries which they are nearby. So yes, I confirm the message from the two companies on their interest, and indeed it's very good news that one of these US companies is interested in the for the blocks, and it's good news to hear from Minister Papastavrou that this is progressing. Just one comment here on the geopolitical side. You know that the more US economic interests are involved in the Eastern Mediterranean, the better it is for the country, simply because nowadays there is no project anywhere in the world that doesn't carry geopolitical risk. And to handle the geopolitical risk, you understand that you need, there are possibly three ways of managing this geopolitical risk in a project. One is diplomacy with the countries that they are involved. The other one is by involving economic interests that they carry certain weight from countries that they have the power to implement stability in a region. And of course, the third one, which is unwanted, is through military action. I mean, having seabed surveys and being accompanied with military vessels, which we don't like, or we try to avoid. And here is the conversation that we have on the Great Sea Interconnector. You understand, for us, as Republic of Cyprus, is a must-do project. Not for geopolitical reasons only, but also because it will terminate the energy isolation of the country. It is the last European member state that is not connected to the European grid, and it should be connected. And hopefully it will provide the flow of electricity from the cheapest parts of generation to the highest cost of electricity. And in this case, the electricity from Greece or from Cyprus to Greece and to other member states is important because it's green electricity.
So I'll insist on the Eurasia interconnector because we are journalists, we are seeking for titles. So when will the research operation resume, Mr. Papastavrou?
Listen, this is a critical project, as George says. It will end the isolation of Cyprus. Also, Greece will stop being the last in the line, and it will beef up our role. This is a project that we're working together with the Cyprus Republic. It has many components. It's a multifaceted project, which does not allow for a public discussion about it. I think this requires a very careful and institutional handling with our colleagues and the European Commission.
Do we have a date for the NAFTEX? When will be issued?
I will refrain from answering this. This is, as I said, this is a project of significant importance for both countries and for Europe, because we're talking about an internal market of energy, and you have Cyprus being isolated, constantly having double the prices than other countries have, and it allows further on to interconnect potentially with Israel. So this is a project that requires careful planning and institutional way of addressing it. So I would not like to say more at this stage.
Ankara has warned it won't allow such development. So how we will respond if what happened in Kassos last summer happens again? Same questions comes to you also, Minister Papanastasiou, but I'll start with the Greek minister.
As I said,
I was expecting it anyway.
As I said, I think this is a project that requires careful planning, and it does not permit for a public discussion about it because it creates a sensationalism that in the end runs against the interest of the project. This is something that is actually it's the largest project on the European level of common interest. It's more than 600 million, and the requires working on a very, very careful way of proceeding. So I would not like to say more on this issue.
Okay. Are you optimistic though?
I'm always optimistic, yeah.
Thank you. What about you, Minister Papanastasiou?
I will share the optimism of Minister Papastavrou. It's worth noting here, irrespective of the geopolitical challenges that the project may carry, you understand that it is a European project, and it should be handled as a European project. It's not a project between two countries, Greece and Cyprus and potential. It's a European project, full stop. And this project is a project of common interest. It received a grant from the European Commission of 657 million euro, plus 100 in addition they were given to the Republic of Cyprus. So in total, it's 757 million euro, which is the largest grant that a European project of common interest has ever received. As I explained before, there is no project which is cross-border project, meaning is crossing borders of countries, that doesn't have geopolitical risk. And the geopolitical risk can be handled by exercising diplomacy. And in this case, the European Union has a role to play. We should be demanding this role, and that Europe needs to be more vocal on this project. The second one is through interest and financial institutions that they carry a weight of countries. And we know a few that they express active interest in investing in the project. And of course, is the third one, which is we dislike, and this is through, let's say, military action, which this is not something that anyone likes. I'm optimistic that diplomacy and logic will prevail. And of course, at least as Republic of Cyprus, our expectation is to see a more active European Union on this project, supporting it, not only in political language, but also in providing real action on the ground.
You're clear. So, all three of you ministers participated in the EU Council meeting on energy costs. How will the European task force operate, and what benefits can we, the people, expect from their work? Minister Stankov?
One very important common issue we have at the moment that we see that electricity prices in the region are much higher than this in the central and western part of Europe. With Minister Papastavrou, we raised this in the last ministerial meeting, and the colleagues from Cyprus, Romania, Hungary also joined. And we think that here from the side of the European Commission, we don't need just issuing some documents or, let's say, proposals, but we need now a real action. Real action which to keep the competitiveness of the business and, let's say, the low energy prices to our citizens. That's why in the future we're going to play together as a big team from our region, and really it's very important the voice of us to be heard very well from the colleagues from from Europe, because as you see on the map, Greece, Bulgaria, we are neighbors with countries which are not member states. It's very easy to the business to shift from the European member states to not European member states, paying less taxes, no taxes for CO2 emission, and decreased, let's say, impact environment assessment issues. And that's why we need to act now to keep the competitiveness of the business, to have really competitive prices, not only related with our partners from North and mid-Europe, but to our neighbors here in the region, and really the competitiveness of the business, the working places, let's say the energy bills of our citizens are the most important issue, to keep it on a sustainable way, or sustainable level, which not to increase their costs.
Minister Papastavrou?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. Last summer, I think Europe was caught with its pants down, the American expression. I mean, the reaction to the crisis was inadequate. I remind you that the Greek government raised the yellow flag in July, and then it took 2 months for a meeting to take place in Brussels. And then there was discussion of what to do. But at the same time, you had an energy wall, you had prices in Slovakia compared to Czech Republic to be double, prices in Budapest to be double from Vienna. You had countries that had negative prices and they had to do curtailment, and you had countries in the south having prices that are through the roof. So that scattered, uncoordinated reaction is something that should not repeat itself this summer. The task force was discussed in September after the Greek government, Prime Minister Mitsotakis' initiative, but then did not lead to something concrete. He had to write a letter in January, and that led to the meeting we had with Zhecho and George and the other ministers in the Council meeting of Energy Ministers on the 16th. We want specific actions that would allow a true internal market on the energy sector. That does not exist right now. This hurts the vulnerable households and our competitiveness. We discussed earlier in our bilateral meeting what will be our next steps with the Commissioner. We need actions from the Commission, and we need it now. And we will be very, very persistent on this front together with my colleagues from Cyprus, Romania. Sebastian is very active on this, and Hungary.
Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Minister Papanastasiou?
Yes, European competitiveness is a major subject. And what is causing the challenges in Europe's competitiveness is energy. We may recall the times that we had the natural gas flowing from Russia at very low prices. This is not anymore the case. Europe is looking for alternative sources of supply. So far, at least when it comes to fossil fuels, the other sources of supply, they are more expensive. And this is causing some issues with the industry competitiveness, the European industry. And this is what it was expressed in the Draghi report that we all know. Europe needs to focus a little bit more on alternative sources of supply. And given today's environment, with taxes flowing left and right, you understand that we need to be more focusing within Europe what is happening, and if we can have a kind of autonomy. Renewables is a way forward, in my humble opinion. However, the technology is not yet there in order to fully support the countries with low cost and affordable electricity for our citizens. And the reason is because we are developing the technology. Renewables, they are so volatile as technology, as a source of supply. You understand they need to be accompanied with other technologies in order to be fully utilized. And still, again, it is my humble opinion, with my oil and gas background many years, that natural gas will still be needed in a mix with renewable.
I see. Unfortunately, we don't have much time left, but allow me to ask one last question to the Greek minister. When will the ship for the GSI go out? No, I'm kidding. Given the high and unstable energy prices, what targeted measures in the ministry implementing to shield people and enterprises?
I think what we discussed in the previous questions are related. What we're doing on a European level with the task force aim to reduce the wholesale price. The discussions we're doing about the interconnectivity with our neighboring countries aim to the same goal. But also on the local level, it's true to say that there are specific technical and not technical deficiencies on the system that lead to a higher price. There's no one action that will solve the problem, but it's a number of different actions in terms of energy theft that will have a very significant number of this phenomenon. The interconnection with Crete and the Cyclades would alleviate a lot of the burden, the economic burden, and the government in the winter that passed has been supportive in the vulnerable households, and we're now considering measures to support businesses in relation to the increase that was evidenced in the months of December to March.
Can you name some of those measures that you are considering?
I think that you will have the announcements in the immediate following weeks.
Oh, weeks. Okay, that's good. Thank you all very much for your participation. It was my honor. Thank you for being here with us today.